David Bowie died on Sunday, just 2 days after his 69th birthday. He'd been secretly battling cancer for 18 months. Bowie was a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, record producer, painter, and actor. Throughout his 5-decade-long career, he went by many names: Ziggy Stardust, Major Tom, and Thin White Duke, among others. He was in an endless state of reinvention, always keeping his fans guessing. Bowie's producer and close friend of nearly 50 years, Tony Visconti, said David always did it his way, and his way was the least obvious way. He was a true genius who proved it over and over again through groundbreaking albums. The New York Times called Bowie an infinitely changeable, fiercely forward-looking songwriter who taught generations of musicians about the power of drama and personas. He appeared on Charlie's program twice, once in 1996.
I think the great thing about art, generally includes music or anything, is that the direction of art is always dictated by the artists. And in music it happens the same way. However much critics write, the other musicians decide who they're going to be influenced by, and the history and the story of the music will come through the artists. When you work in a creative area, if you're working in a comfortable area, you know nothing much is going to be produced. It's only when you start to move just slightly out of your depth and you feel you're a little bit lost, that's when you're going to get something exciting going. It'll either be a dismal failure or it'll be spectacularly what you really want to do.
And again, 2 years later.
I hope and believe that it's that what I do is more of a creative thing in that way, that I think it's fine to draw from opera or from the visual arts, from the underground, from mainstream, and just produce a new blend, which is probably a more complete way of describing the way that we live, and creating a sense of the cultural spin by amalgamating all these different threads. That's what I think anyway.
Well,
Charlie.
one of
that's it, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
One of the things that people have always said about you is you keep an eye on what's going on with what is new.
I can't take my eyes off them. I've got an incredible appetite for what we do and how we do it and how we express it. And ever since I was a kid, I always want to know what's out there. I've always wanted to know what's happening.
Do you think of yourself first as a musician?
No,
music where
actually, I find that the idea of having to say that I'm a musician in any way is an embarrassment to me, because I don't really believe that. I've always felt that what I do is I use music for my way of expression. I don't believe I'm very accomplished at it. And I give a little sigh of relief every time that I come up with something which sounds whole and complete and sort of functions as a piece of music. I mean, sort of, fortunately, it does seem to be there all the time. I never seem to go dry when it comes to writing music, but I don't feel like a musician.
Because you don't feel that you have that talent?
Because probably I don't really take myself seriously enough as a musician at all. I'm far too interested, probably too interested for my own good, but I'm far more interested in the blending of different things. And I just can't, I have the attention span of a grasshopper, which means that it is very difficult for me to become a craftsman. I suppose that I'm quite promiscuous and a jack of all trades. Artistically, of course, you know. Monogamy and me are like this. You've got to understand this, Charlie. You know, life's changed. It's moved along. We've reached a plateau of maturity. I've changed.
We behave, don't we?
Oh, yeah, we do.
What is it you think you do best?
You know what? I think I would love to have been, I would love to have been like Sting and been a teacher. I really would have liked to have done that. What really sort of gets me off is to be able to introduce people to new things. I love the feeling of introducing a new subject or something, especially to younger people, that maybe excites them and gets them going on something and it influences them to do something, you know, opening up some kind of world. I love taking people to art galleries and really corny things like that. I love going to museums with them as well. And it's a joy that I've always had with my son especially. It's been just terrific to be able to do that. Take him to the theatre 1 week maybe, and then take him to a dance club or a rock show, and then an art museum, and all these different things. And it's just great to see how somebody else takes these same influences and puts them together their own way. Because I remember when people did that for me, I always felt it was a gift when anybody took me anywhere and or showed me a new way of doing things. I always felt that that was the greatest gift that they could give to me, and I love doing that back.
You have always resisted any notion that this creativity that you have comes from dysfunctional or madness out of family.
I think I've often wondered if actually being an artist in any way, any nature, is a kind of a sign of a certain kind of dysfunction, a social dysfunctionalism anyway. It's an extraordinary thing to want to do, to express yourself in such rarefied terms. I think I think it's a loony kind of thing to want to do. I think the saner and rational approach to life is to survive steadfastly and create a protective home and create a warm, loving environment for one's family and get food for them. That's about it. That's actually all. Anything else is extra. All culture is extra. Culture is, that's, I guess it's a freebie. It's something that we only need to eat. We don't need particular color plates or particular height chairs or anything. I mean, anything will do, but we insist on making 1,000 different kinds of chairs and 15 different kinds of plates. It's unnecessary, and it's a sign of the irrational part of man, I think.
How do you feel about Let's Dance?
I think it became an incredible, it was an extraordinary acceptance that I had there. I'd never had anything quite like that before. Up until that time, I was quite happy being a sort of a major cult figure, in a way. You know, it was a nice place to be. It gave me a lot of freedom. I knew that I could depend on an audience that would virtually follow my whims, and I could sort of do what I wanted. But the Let's Dance thing almost became a hindrance and obstacle. In fact, it did become a hindrance and obstacle to me, because I suddenly, my poles changed. But my focus was on, well, what are the audience's expectations of me now? And I started maybe writing for an audience, which I've never ever done before. And when I learned that that was for me a stupid thing to do, I got back into the way of writing for myself again, and I think balance has been, equilibrium has been arrived at now. I'm very, very happy with the way things are, both musically and the kind of simpatico that I have with my audience.
Earthling got a lot of very good reviews.
It did indeed. I was so pleased about that, because it was an album that had no compromises on it whatsoever. It was very hard-nosed. I was just so pleased the way it was accepted. It was great. It was lovely. That's very nice when that happens.
When did you celebrate your 50th birthday?
Yeah, when? 51 now, Charlie. 51 now.
Yeah, but you're not unhappy about that.
No,
I mean, you seem to have arrived at some acceptance. It might not have been as hard as 40 was for you.
No, but 40 was pretty difficult.
Because you didn't want to let go of the idea that you were still 20.
Everything was wrong. No, it's not. It was more about the fact that it was also my nadir as a musician. I was writing crap, and it just, nothing was going right artistically for me. I thought, I'd just tried. I was trying to write for audiences. It was right in the middle of that period, 1987. And it was just astonishingly awful time for me. And I think I just had to kind of it's almost about pulling yourself together and saying, hey, I've got maybe this finite length of time left. I really would like to enjoy it. So, stop self-pity and stop all these kinds of things, and just pull yourself together and maybe make some decisions about what it is you really want out of life. And I think the first thing I wanted was each day to be really good. And so I had to go about changing everything in my life. Everything. And I've arrived now at a place that I hope that I'm not self-satisfied, but I'm certainly a fulfilled man. I'm fulfilled romantically, musically, artistically. I love my family. We're so close now. I have a terrific relationship with my son. I can't tell you how great. And so it's something I just want to keep on the front burner every day. I just want it to be just like that until death strikes, you know, and that would be cool.
David Bowie, dead at 69.